Howdy guys, it's the Dallerfin'd Crustacean back at it with Resident Evil 4 Part 7B, and I was looking at this footage and I noticed that it wasn't a problem with my editing software with the PlayStation, but it's something wrong with my video file. So you saw the slow-mo at the end there? I noticed a little bit of it here, which really worries me, and I was trying to look up why that was happening, and they were saying something about like, like your PS5 not like, connecting properly or something, or like your storage being full. And also my AC is going on right now, so hopefully that's not really annoying in y'all's ears. But they said something about clearing the cache, but it's like my storage isn't that full, so I don't understand. And like recording has always been like really good usually, and I only noticed it a little bit, and I was gonna leave a couple more of my fails in here, but I realized it was like a waste of time. But I also, realized in my fails that there was some like slowdown in the recording, and it's really weird, and I don't like it, and it really worries me about, recording the next video. But they recommended that if this happens to like turn off your PlayStation, let it cool down or whatever. And like I said, I've been gone for about a week and a half, and yeah, my PS5 was off that entire time. So hopefully that, whenever we do record our next videos for Resident Evil 4, they're not messed up, because this is really sad. I don't think most of the clips that I end up keeping in this video here are that bad, but it's very upsetting, because if I do get to a part and like there's nothing I can do about it being choppy, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's just gonna really suck. Um, but yeah, so we're moving on to a pretty hard section here in a little bit, and I didn't see that typewriter. I don't know how, like, these typewriters are like hidden to my eyeballs. Look how it just blends into the background there. Like for me, it just blended into the background. Like, I don't know. I just did not see it. I was so glad that I looked at the map there, because we would have had to do the Garrador fight again. Which, I mean, we would have just had to run past it. But so this is actually a successful run. Well, not completely successful. You're just going to see the beginning here where I kill these first two guys, and then we're going to cut because I killed everybody, and now we're in the section where we have to protect Ashley. And yeah, we are going to fail miserably. So, she kept getting picked up, and, there's the guys down here messing with me, and I accidentally killed Ashley. So now we're going to do the successful run for real. And I don't have a strategy here. I literally just kill everybody that I see as they come. And I'm actually like doing something different in this successful run than I did any other run. Usually I would just stand up here and kill everybody as they come to me. But I actually decided to go ahead and try and run down here as soon as possible. Just to get, like the little handle, and I thought that I could take out, because the biggest threat to this room is there's little arrow guys like up on balconies, and I wanted to come down here to avoid those guys so that I could just deal with whoever's in front of me, because the arrow guys can really be kind of annoying up top. So I figured if I can get down here and the arrow guys can't shoot me, it should be pretty easy that and I can just shoot everybody in my face. And I guess it was like a decently good strategy. I mean, it's kind of messy here in a little bit, but I mean, it was my successful run, so it's obviously decent. Those guys usually don't take those many bullets. I must have been shooting it when its mouth wasn't completely open, because they kept taking shotgun bullets. And that's what I'm saying, like, I really like those enemies, and how you see how messy we're doing right now. I really like these enemies where it's like you have to shoot them in the mouth in order to do like a good amount of damage. I personally thought that if Ashley went down, this is like the most damage that we've taken and just kept on like just eating through it. so far in the game. Um, I used to think that Ashley, once she goes down, it's kind of like a safe point, you know, like the bad guys won't pick her up anymore. But I realized on one of my failed attempts, like, look how creepy that is. I love that. Um, on one of my failed attempts, that they will still pick her up if she's downed. I thought that if she got downed and not killed, that was like basically like a freebie. And look, there's some of those arrow guys shooting at me from even down here. But I think this is the last guy, and then we can worry about those arrow guys up top. But we're just gonna actually, after we go ahead and you know, actually put the Jesus Christ, the turn handle or the wheel, whatever you want to call it, into the little thing, and then turn it. There's gonna be more guys that spawn after you get the ladder down. Right now, I'm just trying to find a good position where I can shoot the arrow guy without getting hit, because they do a good amount of damage, and as you can see, my health is pretty low, and I did not want to waste another heal because, as I said, we tanked a lot of hits in that corner there. I could have definitely done that better, but it's whatever. We end up doing it, as you know. And I I keep thinking about Resident Evil 9, and I keep thinking about, you know, everything that I dislike and everything that could have been a million times better. Like, I genuinely think that the game could have been as good as I was wanting it to be, but they just had some weird design choices. And I keep thinking, should I make a video about this? Should I make a video about this? And now there's going to be more guys that start spawning. So I'm trying to find a safe spot because, like I said, all I'm worried about is the arrow people. You know, I can deal with whoever's in front of me, but as soon as I'm trying to deal with people that are coming in, I almost said the most nasty thing ever. But, like, you know, I can deal with people, uh, you know, in front of me, but as soon as I get shot from off screen, that's something that I just I can't handle. You know, I almost killed Ashley there once again, but she's fine, she's fine. I'm so glad that you don't have to, like, give her one of your heals or something in order to get her back up. Um, but we're just gonna go ahead and kill this arrow guy, and Leon says one down, even though we've killed like a million at this point. I don't know why they have him say that, but I keep thinking about RE9 and, you know, everything that I wanted from it and everything that wasn't there and everything that I don't like about it, and I keep thinking, should I make a video about it just to, like, get it out of my brain, because I can obsess over things unless I get them out of my system. And, like, yeah, I keep telling my fiance about things that I didn't like, but she doesn't really care. Like, she'll listen to me because she loves me, but she doesn't really understand what I'm talking about because she hasn't played the game. And, like, of course she's going to agree with me. But it's like, you know, sometimes, you know, talking about these things is kind of like writing in a diary, and I keep thinking, should I freaking, you know, make a video on it, try and get somebody to, like, you know, express the same feelings that I have, because you know, I see some videos that talk about some criticisms about the game, but like I've said in my first video, that there's just not a lot, and a lot of it is just critical acclaim. There's people are saying, like, this is top 5 Resident Evil of the Resident Evil series, like, it's in the top 5 games. I keep hearing that from multiple different people, and I just do not agree with that sentiment in the slightest. Whew, I keep running out of breath because, you know, it's very hot in my house, and, you know, I'm just like talking constantly and constantly. But yeah, I keep thinking, should I make a video on it? And then I'm like, what's the whole point? Like, I'll put time into, like, writing my thoughts down, you know, concisely, and nobody's gonna watch it, and I'll just have the same empty feeling. And I said so many times that I was gonna do an Uncharted review because I love that series, and I wanted to put into words, like, which one I specifically liked, the most and which one I like the least, because even though I like all of them, there's always one that's at the top and there's always one that's at the bottom. But they were like they were like my babies, so it was like hard to say which one was the best and which one was the least, because when I'm playing through each of them, I feel like I love them all equally. But if I had broken them down into like their each individual moments, because they all have similar moments to each other, if I had broken those things down and then I had actually like compared them and said which one was better and which one was worse, I would be able to review it. And that's what I did. I spent days writing a script all that time ago after I finished the Uncharted series, and I just have that script, sitting on my computer. And I keep thinking, how am I going to, actually do this? How am I going to actually do this? Because I don't have any recordings to put like alongside what I'm talking about. So like it just kept sitting there, and I'm like, what, the same thing would just happen, with Resident Evil 9's review. And I just keep waiting, because I have this hot take right now where, how there's certain things that you like, there's some things that, you like and nobody else likes them. Then years down the line, people are like, I love that thing. It doesn't really happen a lot that way, but there is something that happens quite a lot. And it's where you don't like something, but a lot of other people love that something. Then a couple of years pass, and now everybody is saying, I hate this thing. So, like, for example, when No Way Home first came out, the Spider-Man movie with all the three Spider-Men in it, I personally still love that movie, but I know a lot of people flipped on that movie, and I'm sure, no, like, I know a lot of people flipped on that movie, and I'm sure that there were people that hated it initially and saw, the issues that people that flipped on it did. And then, years later, all these people are like, No Way Home wasn't as good as you thought it was, or wasn't as good as you remember it being, or whatever. But, in my opinion, it still is. I still like it a lot. I'm so sorry for my dog. I have no idea what he's doing. We just got like flooring in our house. We just got all the carpet removed. I don't think he's pacing more than normal. It's just I notice it more often because, I can just hear his little tippy tappies all over the place. Anyway, it's kind of like that. And I'm of the strong opinion that everybody is going to come around in a couple years, maybe one or two, and realize how disappointing RE9 truly was. Because there's this phrase that I really like recently. It's a new phrase that I just started hearing going around called copium. And I first started hearing it with, Stranger Things Season five's ending. And Stranger Things Season 5, its ending was complete garbage. And everybody hit this thing where they're like, the show's not over, it's a fake ending kind of thing. And, people were saying that they were, on copium, and it was like causing this mass pandemic because the ending was so bad it got people all riled up that it couldn't possibly be the ending to the series, but it was. Right here I'm just collecting everything, and I'm gonna bring up the bridge and then I'm gonna save, because I don't want to do that whole section again and die here. So you're gonna see me raise this bridge, and then I'm gonna immediately run back to the save, and I'm gonna come back. But yeah, with that word copium, I really think that that's what everybody has for Resident Evil 9. And I'm not saying that I'm better than everybody, or I have like an immunity to, being so like wanting, that's so satisfying being able to shoot. There's times where you can shoot that guy while he's running, and you can get him like mid sprint and his body will just like fly. That guy, getting that guy is really important. The one that's about to jump down with the shield, the one that I got there, he's extremely hard to shoot, because you have to be really fast. And this is obviously not my first try here, but I did not see this guy until like the last second. So I'm glad he didn't try to hit me while my scope was up. I'm not trying to say that I'm like immune to copium, because I'm sure I've done that with other things, but when it comes to Resident Evil 9, I just I'm not coping. I guess I kind of was at first, because I really wanted to think that it was my problem, and that I just had too high of hopes. But I genuinely think that people are coping with the fact that it's not as good as they want. Because I hear people that even people that like the game, people that make careers playing Resident Evil 9, like I can hear the complaints in their voice, as they're going through certain sections, and they're like, yeah, this moment isn't great, but then they like come up with a reason why it's okay. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I really think people don't want to admit that it's not good. And I don't blame them. But I really do think that people are going to come around and they're going to say Resident Evil 9 wasn't as good as we thought it was. It wasn't as good as you remember, type thing. And I'm just glad that I got my thoughts out there, so that I don't just look like I'm hopping on some kind of train. I really, really do, and I really know that this is a really hot take, but I genuinely think people are going to come around in like a year or two and realize that it wasn't it. And I could genuinely make a video of everything that's wrong about Resident Evil 9, and but I just don't know. I just don't know. Like, even with my Uncharted videos, like, those were going to be positive reviews. I don't know if I want to do like a things that could have been better. Like, that's so negative. But at the same time, I feel like my brain's going to explode if I don't get this off my chest. So I'm genuinely wondering if I should do it. And, obviously we've gotten through this section. I've kind of like blabbed on through this whole thing. But, you know, I really do. I really am disappointed with RE9, and I really am kind of worried about the future of the series. Now, when it comes to the remakes, I'm still excited for the remakes because it's definitely a different team from Capcom. But when it comes to the future titles, like new titles, I am kind of worried. But, I still got other Resident Evil games, so it's fine.
Looks like the right place. You okay?
I think so. Instead of worrying about her, worry about your own skin. Foolish little lamb. Temperance, child.
Actually, wait! Shit.
Anyway, so yeah, that's the end of the video. Sorry for blabbing so much. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see y'all in the next chapter. Love y'all so much. Bye.